Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a quick little wrap up. I've just got 3 books here to show you, and yes, let's get on with it. So the first book I have here is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This is Rainbow Rowell's first novel, I'm pretty sure, and the second one that I have read. This book follows our main characters Eleanor and Park. Pretty straightforward. Eleanor is from a big family. New girl in school, has quite a few issues going on that she doesn't really want to share with anyone. And on the flip side, Park has grown up in the neighborhood his whole life, has a lot of, if not friends, at least mutual acquaintances, and is just used to doing his thing. He's not particularly popular, but he's not disliked either. He's friends with kind of friends with a lot of the popular kids, and he's just chugging his way along. And essentially, they meet on the school bus, and at first, Park doesn't really like Eleanor, or at least he doesn't think he does. And of course, when that happens, inevitably, in a young adult book, it leads to something more. So I really loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. It has a lot of depth that kind of synopsis doesn't really show, but I didn't really want to go into much detail because it's kind of better not knowing. But I had a lot of feels about this book. This is kind of like, it gave me the kind of same level of feels that I got from reading The Fault in Our Stars, from a totally different plot, for totally different reasons, but that same kind of sitting there in a feeling of bubble once you're finished, but you can't consider picking up anything else for a little while just because it blows your mind. And you really want to share it with absolutely everyone you know just because it's that beautiful. That's kind of what this book is. What I really loved about this was the music references. This book is set in late 80s, like mid to late 80s, and so many musical references. I was born in the 90s, but my parents are big musical people. Our world and our house is just filled with music, so I got a lot of these references. I don't think any completely flew over my head. And I was just singing out loud, rocking out to songs that I didn't really know who wrote them until I went, oh, that's that song I know. And I was just really caught up in the atmosphere and the music and just indie music of the 80s. Come at me. I was like singing along to Elvis Costello and the Beatles, and I was just having a lovely time while reading this book, while also dying from the feels. So, how could I not give this book 5 awesome stars? Everyone should just read it. If you're into John Green, if you're into music, if that's a thing you like, 80s music, you should definitely read this. It's very, very good. And just, do it. So good. I want everyone to read this book, please. Then I read Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alir Sayens. I probably butchered that. I apologise. I'm going to go with it because I don't know how else to say it, but sorry. This follows 2 summers and the time in between, I think, of Aristotle and Dante, 2 Mexican teens living in America. They're like first-generation Americans, parents are Mexican, and it kind of shows the coming-of-ageness of teenagedom because they're like 15, 16. Aristotle Ari is not very good at making friends, is kind of sometimes aggressive, has been in kind of gang situations before a little bit. His older brother is in prison, but he doesn't know anything about it because he was too young when it happened. His dad was at war, and there's just a lot of personal baggage he's kind of carrying around with himself. Whereas to him, Ari is the one that narrates the story, Dante is this self-assured, likes poetry, art. He draws art, he does sketches and later paintings, and is just this being of self-awareness, or at least to Ari he is. And one day, Ari's at the pool and he meets Dante, who teaches him how to swim, essentially, because Ari didn't know how to swim. And from there, just a lot of stuff happens, which you need to read the book to find out. Yes. This was beautiful. Of course, you can see it's won a bunch of awards, but just the writing style, the plot, the content, a lot of stuff happened. Like, sometimes I feel in contemporaries, not much happens. There's a lot of talking and not much plot. Not plot, but they're a lot more character driven in contemporaries. Whereas this also, it was character driven, but it also had a lot of stuff happening, which I really enjoyed. The characters were lovable, but also complex and had a lot going on. And it was just a really, really good coming of age story. I feel like everyone should read it, including teenage boys who probably look at the cover and go, that's a girl's book. Yeah, you should read this, because everyone should read this. Everyone I've heard says it's amazing, and I totally agree. 5 stars from me. And then finally, the third book for this wrap-up is Soul Music by Terry Pratchett. This is very different from those last... Oh, I just hit myself. This is very different from the last two I've just shown you, in that this is a comedy fantasy. This book is the 16th book in the Discworld series, though you, of course, don't have to read them in order. I have mostly read them in order. I think I've only... I've read them in order. I think I've only read one that's not in the reading order so far, or the publishing order. But they don't really have a set order. There's only a few that require continuous reading to really make sense. This book follows Death, who of course is the best character on Discworld, as he kind of has a little bit of an existential crisis and decides to flake out on his job a little bit, which is kind of difficult when you're an anthropomorphic personification of an idea and not really a person. But he decides to not really quit, just disappear. And his granddaughter, Susan, through weird circumstances, but she's his granddaughter essentially, is kind of commandeered in to take his place. And so that whole plot line's going on as she's trying to figure out the ins and outs of being a death, which she wasn't prepared for. And then there is also the other side of the picture, which follows Imp Iselin, or Bud of the Holly. Yes, that's a reference that you should understand if you have some musical knowledge. And his band, who are the first rock band on the Discworld, doing rock and roll. And there's a lot of references to the Beatles, Rolling Stones, a lot of bands of that time, and just so many musical references. Instead of rock music, it's called Music with Rocks in, and it's just so adorable. So many references. I was laughing out loud so many times at Buddy Holly and Cliff the drum. Oh, it was just... If you haven't read a Terry Pratchett, he has this unique sense of humour that is so hilarious and sarcastic and just so worth it. So many musical references. Absolutely adored this book. 5 stars because hilarious. Like, I could not stop laughing. I read this in 2 days and was giggling the whole time. So if you like comedy and fantasy, sometimes it's a little bit crude, but it's just amazing, and you should read it because it's amazing. And also, look at death on a motorbike. Yeah. So these are the books I read since my last wrap-up. I can't really say in the month of anything because I read these two anyway in the start of September. We're now the 6th of September, and this was the one that I read in the last wrap up, but my friend had it, so I couldn't wrap it up. So, yes, these are the ones I've read since my last wrap up, essentially, and they're about to go back to the library. And then later today, it's not going to come to you later today. Later today, I'm going to film another haul with the last lot of books that I'm picking up from the library. So, expect that soon. And I will see you when that happens. Bye!